So I know it looks like I'm picking on Ubisoft a lot lately, but they're kind of asking for it here. Now, during E3 a couple weeks ago, Gamespot did an interview with Ubisoft Massive Managing Director David Polfeldt about The Division. Some topics that were brought up were how a traditional PC-centric studio is now focusing primarily on consoles, the delay of The Division until 2015, the development team's obsession with Metacritic scores, and also microtransactions. That's right, there's that four-letter word again that's got so many syllables in it, I think it's roughly on par with Riccatello. Now, I'll come back to those microtransactions in a moment, but I want to start out with Mr. Polfeldt's take on what it was like as a studio where Ubisoft Massive had previously been focused on PC games and now are literally saying to each other, quote, "Is this what I think it is? Is this our home turf? Because on this hardware, we can be excellent. We can be one of the best." Really. So you're starting off with that outdated hardware, developing for that, and then are PC users supposed to be shocked when it's going to be an absolute shitwitch of a port? Now again, I realize this is all about making money and it's going to cost more if you develop a game to look all nice and shiny to run on a PC and then scale it down. But still, this goes back to, again, don't delude yourself into thinking that The Division is going to be anything different than Watch Dogs. Now, before I jump on to the next thing, I would like to make clear that Ubisoft Massive is in Sweden, okay? This is not the same studio as Ubisoft Montreal that did Watch Dogs. But let's move on here a little bit. Talking about The Division's delay to 2015, Mr. Polfeldt states, quote, "If you have a project with, say, 400 people on it, you're working on a fairly new piece of hardware like the current gen, and you're trying to do the best game ever, and you want to do 90 plus on Metacritic, the reality is it's very hard to do that." So, okay, let's talk about that for a second. First of all, it's already been conceded that it's only going to run at 30 frames per second. Second of all, by targeting 90 on Metacritic, they're completely ignoring user scores. There's no mention of if gamers will be happy about this, or gee, we hope whoever buys our game is going to be impressed with it despite the delay. No, it's we want that certain critic score. And actually, I gotta tell you, that kind of talk actually makes me somewhat sympathize for some of these journalists. When you get a big-ass company like Ubisoft breathing down your neck, like for instance, I can remember one time Adam Sessler, how he typically grades on a 5 scale instead of a 10. Well, he gave a game a 2 out of 5, which Metacritic translated into a 40. Now, I'm not an Adam Sessler apologist, but I'm just saying, like with the video I put up last night about Watch Dogs, how the analyst in 2013 was saying that a game with a $100 million budget would have to sell between 5 and 10 million copies and get at least an 8.5 out of 10 in Metacritic, just to be profitable. But okay, I've saved the best for last here. Speaking of microtransactions in The Division, claiming they will be, and it literally is written in the article in quotes, fair, he goes on to throw free-to-play games under the bus, saying that there's an ethical problem with them, and that they're only around to draw people in so that they can pay later. But then he's basically talking about the same exact thing, except instead of a free-to-play game, they're charging you full price. Now, in terms of fair, the Ubisoft Massive Managing Director says that we don't want you to have to pay to win, but we're looking at things where you can gain time or comfort. If you really want to have everything in your bag and all of the equipment at all times, you can do that. Some things require time in the game, and some people just don't want to invest time. They want the shortcut. So really, talking trash about free-to-play games, but then setting up your game to have timing sequences, and then implementing microtransactions where you can skip those. That's not being deceptive at all. You know, the main thing about microtransactions is it is a slippery slope, man. It's not long, as I previously mentioned his name, Riccatello, John Riccatello, the former head of EA. It's not long before, as he famously said, you're paying for bullets in Battlefield. That you've got the consumer trapped. They've sunk tons of hours into this. And what are they going to do? Protest? No, I hate all this microtransaction crap. And I'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that says they love it. And by the way, you know, I really kind of don't want to make this comparison, but it still is Ubisoft. Between the delay, the focusing on consoles, and also possibly shaping up to be a high Metacritic score from the professional reviewers, while gamers are giving them the double barrels, is The Division starting to remind you of another title that came out recently? Well, pile microtransactions on top of all that. If you have a pre-order for The Division, you really might want to question if it's wise to keep that, because those who do not study and learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And especially those of you that pre-ordered Watch Dogs and felt instant regret. Do you really want to walk down WTF road again? I don't know. I'm not pre-ordering the damn thing. I don't care if Tom Clancy's name is on it. And it really doesn't matter to me if somebody is in cover against a car and they're able to close a door as they move across it. Well, sorry to say this is nothing new. And you won't color me surprised when this steaming kitty litter pile finally gets released on December 31st, 2015. I'll probably still have my same graphics cards at that time. So alright folks, have a terrific evening. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe to Sir James D Tech. And as always, talk later.